Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel here at C2 Tactical in Scottsdale with Tim Forshey, the guy you should be getting your NFA Trust and your Arizona CCW from. He's got a really cool online program that you want to take a look at. Links in the description. I don't make any money on that, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff whether or not I make any money on it. I don't. We had a video on the channel. The short has gone crazy viral. The video, the main video with analysis has got a lot of views on it. The podcast episode, Alex, has got a lot of plays. So people have had a lot of discussion about this one because Alex, in response to somebody stealing his truck out of his driveway, comes out and has a gunfight over it and ends up shooting somebody. And that feels and sounds like a property crime, but let's talk to the attorney about it.
To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below.
So remember, go watch the analysis. Go see the whole thing, right? Go see what was going on with it. Alex made a dumb mistake and left the key fob in the truck, and therefore...
I haven't met Alex, but I would say that was the first of a couple of dumb mistakes.
That was a pretty dumb mistake. Yeah. Then his home surveillance camera discovers, aha, somebody's stealing the truck, so he decides, I'm going to go out there and confront them. I don't think that's the wisest thing to do.
To put it mildly.
And he decides to arm himself to do so. Now, I'd love your thoughts before we even get after that piece of the shooting itself. I'd love your thoughts on that. I'll give mine afterwards. If you have to go, somebody's going to steal your car out of your driveway, you decide, I'm going to go and tell them they can't do that, and I'm going to arm myself first. Thoughts?
Well, really dumb to go out and confront them. I guess if you're dumb enough to go out and confront them, then arming yourself is probably a good idea because that way you've got one contingent against it going sideways very, very quickly. But to me, that would be like, why would you? It's like I'm soaking myself in gasoline. I know you've got a match, so make sure you have a fire extinguisher. I mean, it's that stupid. So why would you do that in the first place? So I think I shared this story with you. I don't know that we did it on air, but I think I shared a story with one of my, and we all hate lawyers because we all have these old war stories about former cases we worked on. I'll try to make this really quick, but I had a client who was asleep with his girlfriend, and he didn't have a video surveillance system, but he heard somebody stealing, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a 77 Ford LTD. So it was like a boat parked in his driveway.
Nice.
And he heard somebody stealing it. So, and he was sleeping nude. He got up, put on a pair of combat boots.
Really? A naked guy in combat boots?
God, all he had on, the unlaced boots went all the way up, and grabbed the gun that he kept on the nightstand. And I'm a gun snob, and John tries not to be a gun snob, but he's a very knowledgeable guy about guns, and so he'll appreciate this, and maybe some of you will as well. It was a Desert Eagle. And I have a Desert Eagle, and I think a Desert Eagle is a very cool gun that I can't really find a legitimate use for, but it's fun to shoot.
Please tell me it's legit. 58.
Because it was a 50. This guy, that's the whole point. This guy had a 44 Desert Eagle. It was the biggest wannabe gun there is. Get a 44 629 if you want to do that for crying out loud. Anyway,
good night.
So he grabs that, and he chases his own car down the street in his neighborhood and fires all 8 rounds of 44 Magnum at his own car, and then cannot believe that he got arrested.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of, so, again, guys, I'm assuming we have auto insurance. It's required in our state. It's probably required in your state as well. You have auto insurance. You are now risking your life to save the deductible on a car. What in the hell are you thinking? I mean, to me, that is just, again, a pound of prevention is worth a ton of cure here. What are you doing? Why would you even, he saw it on his video surveillance system, so he was a knowledgeable enough guy to spend money to do that. He's in condition yellow concept enough to be aware of what's going on outside of his house. Then he charges out there. I mean, just the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
So I've always said, right, I will tell you a small story. You probably have heard it on the channel before. I've had this happen to me, right? Mm-hmm. I had a pickup truck, got stolen out of my driveway. A year and a half or so later, I hear somebody messing with my pickup truck in my driveway at 11 o'clock on a Friday night. Same thing, right? And I'm like, not happening. Go grab the shotgun off the wall because I had it in a wall rack because I was a moron. We all have those times when we're too stupid to know what we're doing.
We look back on those times, yeah.
Derp stay. The derp in me honors and recognizes the derp in you. And I grab the shotgun, tell my wife to call 911, get to the front door, grab the front door handle, because I'm going to go out and stop these guys. They're not going to steal my pickup truck, right? And I don't know who they are, so I'm bringing the shotgun to defend my life. And I think it was God. I heard, wait, what are you doing? Now, again, not my wife, not my kids or anything like that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to stop these guys. So you're going to go have a gunfight with an unknown number of people of unknown equipage and unknown competence for an insurance deductible.
Yeah.
And I was like, Well, I mean, if you say it that way, that sounds kind of stupid. Because it is.
Yep.
So instead, I gathered up the kids. I left the door locked. My kids were in my front bedrooms, where the driveway was, gathered them, put them in my bedroom. My wife had called 911. The cops showed up. Turns out it was 2 students from my college that were college students of mine.
You told me the story. They were pranking you.
They were pranking my truck. And so thank God, that we ended up there. They were quite sorry. It was kind of funny watching them clean my truck afterwards because they had done a doozy of a job on my pickup truck. They'd taken like 200 Oreos and undone them and stuck them all over the windows. Which was amazing when you think it's so creative.
Yeah, right.
And also a real pain to clean up for them.
Yeah, no doubt, sugar.
So I've had that situation happen to me as well. So I always tell folks the calculus you're making here is whether your deductible's $500 or $1,000, right? I take that out of your checkbook and I stick it on your driveway. And I say, you're gonna go have a potential gunfight with an unknown number of people of unknown provenance and unknown equipage for that money. Now, if you don't, that money may still be there in the morning.
Right.
But if you do, you can have that money back.
If you win.
If you win. Now, you might die or you might go to the hospital, in which case your hospital bill is going to be more than $500. If you win, there's a good chance you're going to take that $500, add 10 more of its buddies, and hand it to an attorney to start defending your actions in court.
At least, yeah.
In this case, it's not what happened. So
when we do dumb things, I would say literally probably 96% of my clients that have gotten in trouble, they lost their judgment, and they lost it because of alcohol or drugs, or they lost it because of anger. And I've never had a car stolen, but I've had cars burglarized about 4 times and stole my stereo and stole all my stuff out of my truck. Just had my truck burglarized a couple months ago. It's infuriating, and you are righteously angry.
Yeah.
Right? And you're on the side of God. People should not be allowed to do that. Temper that, calm down, breathe, namaste. And again, you're arguing over an insurance deductible. Now, if my child's in that car,
totally different world.
Whole different can of worms. Exactly right. Yeah. Now there's no power on earth that's going to keep me from going out there with a shotgun.
Now it's kidnapping.
Now it's kidnapping, and it's my child, right? You can't put a cost on that. But a car that's insured, that I can get a new one with a CD player next week and it's probably going to be nicer than the one I got rid of, and my payment's going to be lower. What are you doing? Yeah. Knock it off.
Now I do think, okay, is it legally acceptable for you to go out for you to stop somebody from stealing your stuff? Yep. Yes. It's perfectly legal for you to go stop somebody from stealing your stuff.
Well, and again, if it's a property-only crime, and this clearly is, you can go out with a gun. You can't use that gun unless it changes to a deadly force situation. In other words, if you're stopping a property-only crime in Arizona, you can legally threaten to use lethal force. You cannot legally use lethal force. So now you brought a gun to a gunfight that you started that you can't use.
So now,
does that sound smart?
Here's my thoughts on bringing the gun, okay? If I'm bringing the gun because I'm going to stop them, I got problems.
Correct.
Because my mindset's wrong. If instead I'm bringing the gun because I say, I'm going to stop them, but I don't know who they are.
Right.
And if they're armed or they want to kill me, I need a gun.
I'm prepared to respond.
I'm prepared to respond to that. Okay, fine. I think it's okay. I'd prefer a long gun to a pistol.
Absolutely.
And this use case is the reason why I believe, this is not universal, there's debate on this, I believe long guns need slings. Because I can sling that gun real quick, go outside, I don't have a gun in my hands, and I can do anything else I need to do and pick that gun up quickly and use it.
I mean, it's amazing how many people don't know that. I mean, any gun that I would ever use other than for a match, any long gun, including shotguns, is going to have a sling on it for that reason. It's the equivalent of a holster to a handgun is a sling to a long gun. So
that's my opinion.
Yeah.
There's some other opinions for qualified and respected people because they say, nope, it's a home defense tool. I'll just put it down on the ground. All right, I'm going to give you that. For me and for mine, I'm going to put slings on my long guns. Okay, fine. Now, in this case, he went outside. He screams and hollers, hey, get away. The woman in that case rises up and points a gun at him.
Right.
Now she's a deadly threat. I got no problems in terms of the use of deadly force. And he shot her. A bunch of people on the short were like, this guy sucks at marksmanship. I was like, well, I mean, he hit her. He got a hit. Now, of course,
she was a fair distance away, I think, too.
Yeah, pretty decent.
Maybe 20 yards?
Maybe 15, 20 yards. He hit somebody because they found the truck a couple blocks down the road.
So it was covered
with
in
blood all over the inside of it. Yeah. And the funny part is his dad was pissed off at him for leaving the key fob in the truck and made him clean the blood out himself.
That's what his dad was pissed about.
Yeah. right? Like, you're gonna learn today, right? So you can clean all that blood out yourself. Oh man, I'm gonna clean somebody's nasty bits
wear
out of my
rubber gloves.
truck. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah.
But you learn your lesson. And I will say, again, shooting as the truck is jamming off down the road, not smart, right? Thank God it's a big world and bullets are small. But you bought every one of those.
That's right.
And if one of those had killed one of your neighbors and
It's an
was
urban
laying in their
environment.
bed,
It looked like there was houses everywhere. So
Yeah.
again, luck smiled on this guy.
yeah, luck smiled on him. Now the police came. He never faced any charges, and I think that was the right choice here. You know what I mean? If she hadn't had a gun, it would have been a whole different
Right.
world. But she did, and she had fired it at least one time. I think it was actually a sympathetic negligent discharge.
Hypothetically, let's say he didn't have a video surveillance system,
Ooh, boy.
and he claimed that she had a gun. Different outcome? I think so.
Maybe.
Guys,
Maybe.
you can get video surveillance systems for your whole house now for a couple $100 at Home Depot. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Makes you so much safer, and it also allows you to prove what happened.
Yeah, and it gives you eyes to see, right? Because if I had a real good high quality camera out there that had maybe higher resolution, and I go, oh, they've got a gun out there. No, I'm not going out there.
Exactly.
No thanks. I'm good, thanks. Or hey, there's two of them. Nah, I'm just not going out there to deal with that. But I can be on the phone with 911. This is what they look like. Here's what the getaway car is. It's a man and a woman. Here's what all that is. I'm not going out there, but I'm sitting here in the house defending my family with the gun. If they decide to come in the house, it's going to be a different story. I need you here quickly. And then they can do that.
Then you crack a can of Diet Coke and you call State Farm, and everybody goes to bed nice and safe.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the time that my truck did get stolen out of my driveway, guess what? I had a $500 deductible when it came back. I'll tell you, in my particular case, when it happened, that truck, they clocked it crossing the United States border 8 times in 2 days.
I wonder what that was about.
Yeah, and he came back a little the worse for wear. Old Guido had a 2-day bender, and came back reeking of cigarette smoke inside of it. And I told him, I was like, look, man, I need a whole complete. I need the seats out. I need to make sure there's no.
Yeah.
The time weed wasn't legal in Arizona, I'm
Right.
like, I ain't getting pulled over, and there's
Right.
somebody's old nasty roach underneath
And
there.
some dog
I
finds
get,
it.
Yeah, I
Yep.
get busted for it. Ain't happening. But they fixed my pickup truck up and got it back to me. So for the insurance deductible, and that sucked. I wasn't excited about paying the insurance deductible.
Again, they stole that money from you, and they put you through a
stole it
bunch of
from me.
hassle. And that's not just the deductible; it's the time you miss from work to take it to the shop and picking it up, and all. The rental car, all the logistics. It's a nightmare, and it's ridiculous, and it shouldn't happen. But compare that to shooting somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, folks, there's no comparison.
And in this case, the cops showed up. They looked at the video. They listened to what Alex had to say. They went, "All right, man, have a nice day." He never faced any charges, and you might get that, and that's a good thing.
I would say he's very lucky.
I would say
And,
say he dodged more than the bullet she shot at him.
Exactly.
And so, be cautious. Remember, good, sane, sober, moral, and prudent.
And remember, guys, it's just stuff. Okay? If you kiss it goodnight and say I love you to it, defend it. If it's stuff that you can replace with insurance deductible, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I say that again as a guy, when my truck was stolen, I mean, I was living on a pastor's salary. It's not, and okay, I know some people are gonna be like, yo, you're living on Joel Osteen's salary. No, I was living on the 99.9% of pastor's salaries where I ain't had a raise in 6 years and we're barely scraping by, and there's not any money left over at the end of the month, and we're living a super barely squeaking middle class lifestyle. Okay, so don't hear me saying I was making it rain during that time. It wasn't that stuff, and you just got to suck it up and let it go. So otherwise, you end up causing big problems. So, Tim, really appreciate the discussion.
As always, good discussion.